Hello friends, welcome back to the Mysterious Ripley House. Today our adventure continues, and in just a moment you'll find out whether or not your vote won. Without further ado, let's dive into this spooky adventure and see where it takes us today. Episode 3 of the Mysterious Ripley House. Well, Bianca, Raphael, Tim, and Audrey all stood in the main hallway of the Mysterious Ripley House, and they had no idea what to do next. Should they look for the key at once? Should they investigate the spooky door? Or should they find out who the strange singer in the next room is? "I'm getting a funny feeling," Audrey said. "Yeah?" Tim said. "Yeah," Audrey said. "Like, we're supposed to go find out who's singing." "But what if they're scary?" Bianca said. "Well, they might be," Audrey said. "But I think we need to be brave and find out anyway." So, without further ado, the 4 children crept down the hall after the voice. See, I told you I would tell you. Audrey was the most nervous. Maybe because she was the oldest, and she already knew that life was complicated. They were in a spooky, mysterious house. They had no reason to suppose that the singer was good, or that she was all good. She might be both good and bad. Audrey knew that life was like that sometimes. A lot of people weren't evil, but they weren't good either. Now, I promised to tell you a little bit more about each of the children. Audrey was an only child. Her parents were divorced, and they were both rich, busy people. They didn't have much time for Audrey at all. Audrey told herself that she didn't mind, but the truth was she was lonely. She wished she had some kind of family, at least. But she didn't have time to think about things like that right now. They were nearly to the door. They were about to meet the creaking, wheezing old voice. Audrey stepped into the doorway first. She looked around. The room was a kitchen. The same kitchen that Bianca had woken up in earlier. It was brightly lit, and they could hear the cheerful clink of pots being washed in the sink. But that was just it. The dishes were being washed, but there was no one in the room. "There's nobody here," Audrey said. "Yes, there is," Raphael said. "Look!" He pointed. Audrey looked. The sink was very full of bubbles, it was true. So many bubbles, in fact, that they poured over the sink and onto the floor. The bubbles were large and round and shimmering. Suddenly, Audrey screamed. Raphael was right. There was someone here. "It's a bubble lady!" Bianca shrieked. "It's a bubble lady!" It's true. A woman made entirely out of soap bubbles stood at the sink, washing pots. At that moment, the bubble lady began to sing again. "Wash the pots and stew the stew. Wash the pots and stew the—" "Who are you?" Tim cried. The bubble lady whirled around. "Children!" she cried. "Children in the Ripley house." "You're made out of bubbles," Bianca said. Now that the bubble lady had turned around, they could see her face. She had a large round nose made out of bubbles, and she gurgled in surprise. She made the gurgling noise by popping and reforming the bubbles in her throat. She shimmered when she talked, because 1,000,000 tiny bubbles burst whenever she did, and then reappeared, rainbow. "Children," she cried, "you must be looking for the key." "We are," Tim exclaimed. "Well, well, well," the bubble woman said. "I will give you a clue to find the key, but only if you answer my riddle. If you guess right, I'll give you the clue. But if you guess wrong, I'll turn one of you into bubbles, too." What's the riddle?" Tim gulped. "What grins when it's hungry and goes ooh when it's full?" "If we guess wrong, you'll turn one of us to bubbles," Audrey said. "That's right," the bubble lady said. "But if you guess correctly, I'll give you a clue that will help you find the key." All right, friends, that is the end of episode 3. And now we have a choice to make. Should the children run away and refuse to answer the riddle so that nobody gets turned into bubbles? Or should they try to answer and risk having one of them be turned into bubbles? Because remember, if they get it right, they do get the clue. And remember, if you choose for them to try the riddle, you have to guess the riddle. So you would have to write in the answer that you think it is. And if you get it right, then everyone's safe. But if you get it wrong, someone will turn into bubbles. So it really is in your hands right now, and you have to solve the riddle. If you want to solve the riddle, I will give you this hint. Think of the shapes, a grin and an ooh. And the riddle is written down in the description of this video, so you guys can read it and think about it if you want to. So that is it for today. Remember to complete your 3 tasks of the day, which are to vote, which are to tell a friend, and then complete your mission of the day. And your mission of the day is to learn a dance that you've never learned before. So it can be something fun and crazy like the jitterbug or the Charleston or flossing. But yesterday I went out on my deck and I did ballet for about 15 minutes, and I was listening to the Frozen 2 soundtrack the whole time. And I thought it was just the most fun thing. Dancing makes you feel so, so good. So that's your mission for the day. I'm sure there are a bunch of tutorials on YouTube Kids that you guys can look up. And there are so many different ways to dance. You can do hip hop and break dancing, and just look for a tutorial and learn a type of dance or a dance move that you have never learned before. Remember to like and subscribe, and stay brave and stay curious, and I will see you tomorrow.